A little over 2 years since their first fight, and Jack Catterall finally gets revenge on Josh Taylor for that magnificent split decision win that he probably should have won. Jack Catterall took a 12-round decision win, unanimous decision, and guess what? Wasn't a bad fight. A lot of people are saying that this fight is one-sided. Jack Catterall destroyed Josh Taylor, yada yada, this and that, and I'm not quite so sure. I'm really not. So just for that, what I'm going to do is say trilogy time. Let's call for a trilogy between Josh Taylor, the former undisputed champion at 140, versus Jack Catterall, because those two fights were very close, both of them very close, and yeah. So Jack Catterall, man, he impressed through and through. I really see. I wasn't super familiar with Jack Catterall early. Or before this fight, you know, I know, obviously I follow the sport of boxing. I know Jack Catterall, and I know that, you know, he's a good fighter. He's really good southpaw. He's real good on his bases, and he's got a strong jab. That's about all I knew. I've watched his highlights. I've watched a couple of his fights. I've watched the Taylor fight, but I didn't know exactly what Jack Catterall was, and I'm sorry, sir, I was not familiar with your game. What a performance, though. He really did dominate the early parts of this fight. And we're going to talk about Josh Taylor in a second here. But Josh Taylor did a good job of getting back into this fight and making some adjustments that gave Jack Catterall some fits. It was the big moments from Jack Catterall, though, that really separated this fight and made the difference, especially early. But even in those later second half of that fight, it was the big decisions that made Jack Catterall get away with the win. So now we're calling for a trilogy, right? Like, we got to have a third fight. They're 1-1. They've split it. Not the case always in boxing. And now, you know, like we saw with Tim Tszyu a couple weeks ago and Sebastian Fundora, where it's like, yeah, they probably should run this fight back, and they're not. It looks like Sebastian Fundora is about to fight Errol Spence, which is whack. But I get it. You know, you got the belt now. The real belt. Go do some stuff with it, make some money. And if Sebastian Fundora can beat Errol Spence, yeah, that's great. So, no belts on the line for this one. The first fight, undisputed, was on the line. So, yeah, like it's a good Scottish versus UK fight. Obviously, Josh Taylor's the Scot. Catterall's kind of the United Kingdom guy. I enjoyed the fight. I really did. I just felt like it was a lot closer than what people said, which is why I believe it does deserve a trilogy, even an immediate rematch. Maybe get a couple of them a tune-up, both of them a tune-up fight. Put them on the undercard of Fury and Usyk 2, or Usyk Fury 2. I should put respect on the champ's name in October in Saudi Arabia. Let's run it back. Turkey Al Hashish, you know boxing, right? Like, let's book this fight. It's a good fight. It was fun, and it'd be a great filler to an undercard. Yeah, I think, you know, I thought Josh Taylor was toast. I thought he lost to Teofimo Lopez, and I was like, yeah, he looked very bad there. Like, Teofimo really, like, exposed him, it felt like. And, you know, before that even, the Catterall fight with Josh Taylor, he took some time off, I believe, after that. Yeah, so he fought Catterall in 22, comes back in 23 right here, and then 2024 fights Catterall again. So he's fought once a year for the last forever. Jose Carlos Ramirez. And if you remember, Taylor, he won most of the belts, boxing in the World Boxing Super Series. Comes in, he beats Ivan Baranchyk, who's like super underrated. Beats my boy from New Orleans, Regis Prograis, which sucked for me. It was a really close fight. 3 belts were on the line for that one. Regis, I think, I don't remember, guys. And then Kong Song he beat, and then he fought Jose Carlos Ramirez for the undisputed lightweight. I don't know what I'm saying. Undisputed lightweight title. So then you got the Catterall, then the Teofimo fight, and now the Catterall rematch. So Josh Taylor spent a lot of time on Jack Catterall his entire career, and it looks like he might have to spend a little bit more time. I felt like Taylor looked a lot better than the Teofimo fight. I felt like he was washed and done against Teofimo Lopez, who I find incredibly frustrating because when he fights somebody like, Josh Taylor, he looks like a world beater. But who was Lopez's last fight? And he looked horrible against him, almost lost the fight. I can't remember. I talked about it on the show. Jermaine Ortiz. Yeah. He looked bad against Ortiz. He looks bad against Sandor Martin. Pedro Campo is underwhelming. And then obviously the George Kambosos loss. But like he fights Vasyl Lomachenko, the top pound for pound guy, and has a fight of his life. Richard Comey, same thing. Josh Taylor looks incredible at 140 against him. And now he's facing Steve Claggett, and he's probably going to look like hot garbage there. Although everybody's got that as a 5-round fight. I'm not familiar with Steve Claggett either. Like Canadian guy, so he's highly ranked and I like him, but I don't know, man. Like he looked I'm getting off topic here, but Josh Taylor looked bad against Teofimo Lopez. Here he looked great. So yeah, you really can make an argument for the whole trilogy between the two. Taylor spent his last 3 fights, Catterall, Lopez, Catterall again. Let's do it again. Let's run it right back, right? Let's run it back and make it look good. So Jack Catterall had a really good early approach on this fight. He wanted to get in, but he didn't want Josh Taylor to be able to work while he was in, if that makes sense. Actually, he was more looking for jabs and coming over the top as Taylor tried to come in. So he didn't necessarily want to fight on the inside, but he did want to fight to where he could land the bigger shots because he's the bigger puncher than Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, he's a good, strong puncher, but he's not a great puncher. He prefers to get his bigger shots on the inside. So what did Jack Catterall do to win this fight? How did he do it? It was the early rounds that he took over and he dominated, and those early rounds really paid a dividend for him as the fight went on because, man, Josh Taylor came on strong. So the first things first is Taylor wants to get in. So what's Catterall doing? He's boom, boom, and he's shoulder bumping Josh Taylor out of the way. He says, get out of here. I want nothing to do with this infighting from you because that's where you like to fight best. And guess what? I'm taking your weapon away. It was kind of a funny matchup because both of these guys are southpaws, and you could tell they're both more comfortable against fighting orthodox fighters, though Taylor has a little bit more experience because he's fought Regis Prograis and other guys like that. Catterall once, now the second time. So like with the Teofimo, I keep going back to this fight for Josh Taylor because that's like the best point of reference we got for him, right? What Teofimo Lopez does against these southpaws, since they're 2 front feet or forward, because you remember, like in an open stance matchup, these guys, the left foot of Lopez is forward on the orthodox fighter, and the right foot of the southpaw fighters are together. So they're boom, boom, like this, right? So what Teofimo Lopez does is, you're trying to crowd me? Boom, here, I'm a shoulder check you, I'm a frame off of you, and then I'm going to circle out because I'm getting the outside foot advantage. Josh Taylor tended to want to get the inside foot because Lopez denied it to him. So it's not quite the same against a closed stance matchup where it's southpaw versus southpaw or orthodox versus orthodox, but what we saw was Jack Catterall is leaning over, shoulder bumping Josh Taylor out of the way and really making it hard for Josh Taylor to get in and to fight his style of fight. And that's really where he stole all the early rounds he denied Josh Taylor what he wanted. Like, you're not getting what you want, dog. You're out. That's basically what it was. That was it. Now, obviously, there's the whole offense. He hurt Josh Taylor early. A lot of the jabs. It was really cool to see Jack Catterall just jab, like 3, 4, sometimes 5 and 6 straight jabs. There was one point, it was a really cool moment. It was later in the fight, and it kind of stole him a later round, where he would jab. Let's see. So he's right, jab, and then he jabbed to the body, and then boom, boom, 1-2 up top, right? It's hard to actually do that right sitting down. But how that worked, what that really did for him was like, hey, look, I'm jabbing. Oh, no, I'm going low. You better not drop your hands, or you better drop your hands because I'm going to hit you low. Just kidding, I'm coming up top. And when he threw that 1-2, he changed the cadence of it. So he's building a rhythm, jab, or jab cross, He's changing the cadence on you. So he's building expectation. Look at this. Look, all my jabs come the same speed. Boom, bop. And that really hurt Josh. And that was later in the fight. But it was really those early, like that kind of stuff early on to where he would change the cadence. He's throwing these, so he's doing the lean. So he's throwing the let's see, he's throwing the left uppercut. I'm not a southpaw, so sorry. He's throwing the left uppercut and all that in there, and he's really kind of landing on Taylor. Josh Taylor does a good job of eating the shots and not going down though. He really didn't struggle with the chin as much. I mean, there was that big overhand left late in the fight, and that kind of stole the fight for Jack Catterall at the end of the fight. I didn't have the fight like 1 point like Bob Arum said, but hurting Josh Taylor that late in the fight was really what kind of separated you know, the later fight, because it looked like Taylor was coming on strong. And how did he do that? What adjustments did Josh Taylor make to claw his way back in this fight? Because he was losing. He may have won like the first round, but like Jack Catterall really took over from that point after the first round. He took over. He was like, hey, I've got to get in here and work my game. So how am I going to do that? What are we going to do to get my game? So what is Catterall doing? First of all, let's recap for a second. What is Catterall doing that's denying Josh Taylor his game? And that's that shoulder check, that bump out of the pocket. Like, get away from me, bro. So what did he do? We just released a tape study on this with Francis Ngannou. This wasn't really what Francis did, but it's similar. So what Josh Taylor did was, boom, I'm framing up on you. Look at that. Oh, my forearm's right on. He would put on his head, on his neck, and just push. Like, you're not doing this, dog. You out. Nope, we right here. We're going to be boxing right in here. And there's a couple points to where when Jack Catterall's leaning and dipping and stuff, Taylor's pushing him down. Obviously, that's illegal. We talked about that with Tyson Fury and how he did that to Deontay Wilder in that tape study of Francis Ngannou. You really should go check that video out. It's a really fun tape study, a good boxing tape study, something that you guys would like. It'll be in the end card and in the description. But anyway, so what he was doing there is he's denying Jack Catterall, and now he's putting the emphasis on you. You have to change what you're doing, because I'm not letting you get your work in how you want to get it in anymore. And Jack Catterall really couldn't do that as much. Obviously, he would have to get in there and get grimy, and that's what he did. He got in there, got grimy, landed that big left overhand that really hurt Taylor in like the 10th or 9th round or something like that. But other than that, like, Josh Taylor fought his way back well into this fight. I won't say he won every round in the second half of this fight. Even minus the hurt round, I won't say he won every round, but he did a good job of coming forward, keeping the volume going, and really bringing a fight to Jack Catterall that really helped in his favor. And it really made all of the difference in the world in this fight, because it did look like early on that Jack Catterall was going to run away with this. And he didn't. He didn't run away. Like I said at the top, this is a trilogy-worthy fight. 100% through a trilogy-worthy fight, and I'd love to see him do it again. So, what about Jack Catterall versus the rest of 140? I've got it pulled up right here. Pulling it up now, actually. I had Teofimo Lopez up. So, at the top of 140, you got 4 champions. You've got Subriel Matias, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Isaac Cruz. I don't know about this one, Cat. Those 4 guys, Catterall's great. I don't rate him as one of the best, though. Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's good, but he ain't like Isaac Cruz would just walk him down. Subriel Matias would just pressure him down. Teofimo, maybe, depending on what kind of night he's having. Haney's probably the weakest of them, and I still think he does Catterall. You know, you've got Jose Carlos Ramirez, who's coming off of that underwhelming win over Rances Bartholomew. You've got Richardson Hitchens, who I like, actually. That's a good fight. Just beat Jose Zepeda, and now he's got a win over Gustavo Lopez since we talked about him. Yeah, I like that. That would give Richardson Hitchens a really good fight, like to go up and do his thing. I'm looking through all these. This is Andy Hiraoka. Regis Prograis be a fun one. Obviously, you've got the Josh Taylor rematch, but Regis Prograis versus Jack Catterall, dog, sign me up. It's always Gary Anton Russell, 17-0, but he's fought in Puello pretty soon here, I believe. Yeah. Sandor Martin's always a threat, so that's good. Adam Azim's coming up. He's got some promise So yeah, there's a lot out there for him. 140 is such a good division, man. It really is. And you got these 4 guys that are great at the top. But like, yeah, I don't know how I rate Jack Catterall amongst the 4 best. You know, you got your 4 champions. We're gonna need to go ahead and unify some of these belts soon. Like I said, I think Isaac Cruz has a fight coming up. He just got booked against somebody, huh? Yeah, Isaac Cruz, Super Matias, and Jose Valenzuela. Oh, that's on that Saudi undercard. Oh, that's a good fight. Virgil Ortiz versus Tim Tszyu. David Morrell is on that. Crawford and Madrimov. Oh my gosh. Andy Cruz is on this. Andy Ruiz is fighting Jerome. That's a card, bro. When's that? August 3rd. I gotta wait so long for it. Oh. Yeah, so he's got a fight coming up. Sorry, I got just caught up lusting after him. Subra Matias, he's fighting Pero on, I believe that's next month. That's in a couple weeks. Yes. That's gonna be a good fight. Figueroa and Sandoval are fighting on that card. Great. This is gonna be so much fun. This is going to be a absolute blast. So yeah, great fight. I'd like to see him run it back. If you want to get more on that clinch stuff that we were talking about Francis Ngannou, and to see how he approached the clinch, Alexander Usyk did a little bit of this too, but everybody wanted to roast me over. But I was joking, bro. Did Usyk study Francis? I was joking, but not really, because he did some of this stuff like a peek out. So yeah, Francis Ngannou, how he beat Tyson Fury. That's the burning question, right? Or he didn't really beat him, but you know, how'd he do it? How did he negate his clinch? Let's read that and go find out, right? Let's go see what this is all about.